Welcome to There Is a Method to the Madness. I'm Ron Maxwell. I'm an exercise physiologist. In the Method to the Madness, I explore with you why things may or may not work in the world of physical fitness. I use science to explain what you really need to know about current events in fitness and what you should simply ignore. Hence the title, Method to the Madness. Is there a method to it, or is it just madness? Today's topic is just going to kind of be a weekly wrap-up. I've been real structured on a lot of the topics, and I'm just going to kind of do a end of the week wrap-up going into the weekend, and that's what we'll do. But before I get into that, I want to thank our very first sponsors who believed in us, Jonathan and Lyn Gildon at the Gildon Group at Realty Pros. They currently have over 275 star reviews. And even with the real estate market coming down a little bit over the last 6 months to a year, they've been just as busy because that's what true professionals do. A lot of people jumped on the bandwagon when everything was hot, and unfortunately we got stuck with a person like that, and they're not very good agents when they're not committed to it. But that's not the case with these guys. They hustle, they made it their living, they made it their career, and they're both great. I will put their information in the show notes so you can simply click and go. All right, so a little bit of the end of the week wrap up in my estimation of the physical world. So we went through another hurricane in our area, Hurricane Nicole, and I tell you what, man, the floodwaters were already high going into this, and it definitely decimated the Volusia County beaches even more. That's really tragic. That is not good. There are major problems going on with this, and as I say always, nature always wins. We have to start paying attention to the signs and figure out what we can do. These hurricanes have not been good to our area, so that rolled in, and there's been a lot of damage from what I've seen, especially in Wilbur by the Sea, Daytona Beach shores, and some inland areas as well. The area really hadn't recovered very well from the Hurricane Ian 6 weeks ago, and now Nicole came in with the high tides and the moon. I mean, it couldn't have been for no pun intended, but literally a perfect storm scenario to come in and decimate the flooding areas even more. That happened. The midterm elections wrapped up, and it always amazes me when political things happen, and they continue to happen, of course, and all these events that happen around us, and everybody, I mean, it's the biggest thing, right? I mean, you can't go anywhere without it being played, of course, on the radio. We at the gym here try to stream our music on different stations, because you don't have the DJ who either innocently throws a little comment out there one side or the other, or does it on purpose because it produces ratings whenever you can get listeners really riled up or happy one way or the other. Energy produces money, so who knows, but whatever reason, it doesn't happen nearly as much, if at all, on XM or satellite radio. It tends to happen more from the regular radio stations, and we try to stream so we can stay away from that, because it's amazing how what you think one innocent comment, or maybe not so innocent comment, or a sarcastic comment a DJ can make, and it just sets your client off in a direction. And I don't care what direction it is. The gym is a place to work out. Most people really don't want to hear it. I mean, I say that, but then it's funny, and it's almost like then most people do want to hear it. But I think most people agree that there are certain places, in my opinion, all places, that it doesn't need to be discussed, and we're really just here to work out. But I've been doing this 28 years, since 1994, and it's been the same thing. One DJ will say one thing about who's ever in charge, or whoever they think should be in charge, or whatever, and then here comes the client's strong opinion, which personally, I don't get that. I mean, I don't go to a therapist's office and start doing that. I don't go to my doctor and start doing that. I mean, personally, look, hey, I told you this is going to be a end of the week wrap up, so I'm just going in a lot of different directions here. Covered a lot of serious fitness content in the last month. And, kind of just shooting the shit with you here, and I guess you just got to listen, or you don't. But, I was always raised, you don't talk about it, I mean, that's why there's like voting booths, that's why it's so secret, so to say, where in the old days it used to be covered up even more. Now you can go to those little tables and, you got your privacy, but I remember in the old days, you were protected even more. I guess people would look over your shoulder. I mean, that's how taboo it was to talk about your vote. Maybe I was a kid in the 70s, I was a teenager in the 80s. I mean, maybe you saw a political shirt here or there, like maybe around election time. But now, I mean, it's not only not secret, it's just discussed openly, either with your bumper stickers or your t-shirts you're wearing or whatever. It just seems like it's like a football team. It's no longer like, again, I was raised, you don't talk about it. You can discuss it among friends if you're having a political discourse of some kind or another. But, I was always taught that if you bring it up in public, you're rude, and nobody did it. And both my parents they were pretty political. I mean, they voted, they had pretty strong opinions, but I don't ever remember them talking about their politics in a public place. And both of them could be pretty opinionated, and I don't remember ever that happening. At different times, I don't know. I mean, everybody likes to blame things on social media. Who knows? I think people have been doing it long before social media. But like, why? I mean, it is supposed to be a private thing, and people say if you're not happy, vote. If you are happy, vote. So to say, I mean, that's good. I mean, there you go. Formulate your opinions, but like, when has ever discussing it with anybody, especially that you don't know, a lot of people poke the bear to just kind of see where you fall, and I don't give way. I mean, it's not the place. I mean, I can proudly say I taught sports medicine for 10 years, and the students around election time used to always try to guess what I was. It was funny. They'd say, "Oh, Mr. Maxwell, I think he's a Republican. No, I think Mr. Maxwell, no, I think he's a Democrat. No, I think Mr. Maxwell's an independent," And I'd sit back and smile, and they didn't know. Like, they never knew. And I just think that's very important to not persuade people in an area that I'm not an expert at. I have my opinions. That doesn't make me an expert. I think too many people forget that, and sure, it's on the individuals who, buyer beware, so to say, that should know better and not listen to their professors, not listen to their doctors I'm talking political matters. I'm talking about areas that, like, we're not experts at, Of course, you hope that they were taught to, like, formulate their own opinions, but not everybody was. And so for me, as a leader in that regard, I just didn't tip my cards. I just encouraged them to vote. I helped them get registered and things like that. I remember doing that for a kid who I absolutely knew was on different political sides than me. I knew where he stood because he talked about it all the time. He had no idea where I stood, but he was confused about voting precincts and getting registered, and I helped him because that's what we should do as leaders. It shouldn't be so like antagonistic all the time, So going off in this direction, just because I'm always a little bit maybe surprised at how many people get so wrapped up in the things they really can't control outside of themselves, like politics. The only thing you really have control over is your vote, whether it be at the polls and then with your dollar. There's two ways you can vote. You have that power, and then outside of that, you have zero power. You influencers out there that think you're making a difference on social media, you're not. I did a poll for my own sake on Twitter, which was fun. Said, have you ever been changed, had your mind changed from a political post on social media? And I had a lot of votes, and 90% came back no. And I wish I knew who the 10% yeses were, because I would try to sell them some shit somewhere. Like I would sell them some land I don't own, because if you're really that dumb to be influenced by some other ham and eggers opinion on social media, then maybe you shouldn't be voting. I don't know. I just couldn't imagine it. With all the different theories everybody has, it's actually entertaining to sit back and watch, but at the same time, it's pretty scary. So anyway, getting involved in things you can't control, but then not getting involved in things you can control, like your fitness, like your health, like what you eat, like whether or not you're going to exercise. Like you get all these strong opinions about what the country needs to do in order to get in the right direction, and then you take little action, if none, to get yourself going in the right direction. And I'm a psych major originally, so there's theories behind that. People always have a desire to control. It's kind of what we do. Some people are more controlling than others, but there's a desire to control. So a lot of times people will try to control the things they can't control, because they feel out of control in the areas they do have control. So their weight continues to mount, and they think they've done everything they can to get it down, and then they start feeling hopeless. So then they feel like they can't control that, and so then they get mad. Of course, we always get mad when things don't go our way. That's absolutely kind of part of the human condition. And then we start to control the things that we can't control, or of course it's an illusion. You absolutely can't, but then you start feeling like, well, if so-and-so would just do this, everything would be fine. If these people just believe this, everything would be fine. And the reality is, of course, that's not a reality. But another reality is you absolutely can make yourself better in all of the areas of wellness, body, mind, and spirit, and you absolutely have control over that. But it's my belief that the majority of people do not take that control for whatever reason. Like with your body, if you exercise, you're going to be better. You're going to get better. I promise you that. There is no doubt in my mind. Strength training, cardiorespiratory training, yoga, any form of physical movement, you're going to get better if you do it. Absolutely. Another area of physical, eating better. Quit blaming it. Oh, they changed their mind. They this and that. No, that's marketing again. You're the same person that just believed Joe Schmo's political post. Okay, that's marketing. It's the same thing. That's revenue driving. The real experts do know how to eat right. We've been telling you for a long time about nutrient density and keeping your calories lower than what you expel. We've been teaching you that for a long time. You're listening to the wrong people. Don't blame anybody but yourself. So if you do eat better, you will feel better. Your doctors will tell you that as well. If you eat below your caloric means, you are going to lose weight. That is something within your control. Nobody said it's easy, and it's funny that, people who are always going on and on about that with politics will always say, oh, these people think they're entitled to this, entitled to that, and I'm thinking, well, you kind of think you're entitled to a slim waistline even though you way overeat. So it's like, what's the difference here? No, you were not entitled to anything, right? I mean, I believe that. So it's like, we're not entitled to a slim waistline either. We have to work for it. And if we're not doing what we're supposed to be doing, then why would we have a slim waistline? But see, that's again within our control. Who cares what Joe Schmo's doing? I don't. Absolutely, I do not. I care about what I'm doing. That's who I have control over. So we can improve our physical self. All right. And then You look at mental. Well, I try to read a book a week, and I like to go back and I read the classics because, quite frankly, that's when, in my opinion, the best books were written. Occasionally, newer books come out that are great, like this really awesome weight loss book I heard that just came out that says you can't outrun a poor diet. I don't know who wrote that, but man, some genius wrote it. But anyway, outside of that masterpiece, there's not a lot of great new books out there. I don't think. I don't know. I shouldn't say it. There probably are. I haven't come across a ton of them, though, especially in novels. I like reading the old novels, I'm reading Animal Farm again. That's a great classic on the human condition. Just finished some Hemingway. So again, I like reading them, but I try to do a book a week with that. That improves your mind. I like to journal. That improves the mind. Spirituality, I pray to a God I believe in, a higher power, so to say. I try to take time to meditate, whether it be like just simply turning off all the devices and radio and all that stuff in the car and just, drive for 20 minutes. Sometimes I literally sit and do it. I'm taking up piano with my wonderful piano teacher, Natalie Wright, who could be reached remotely. That's how she teaches me. She's in Tennessee. And that's great for the mind and spirit. Let me tell you, it's been awesome learning how to play the Little Drummer Boy now for Christmas, which is kind of cool because that was my dad's favorite Christmas song. So there's all these things we can do to make ourselves better people. And oftentimes the thing I hear all the time is there's no time. There's no time. There's no time. And my piano teacher says all the time, Rob, 10 minutes a day, sit down. And she's right. And as soon as I sit down and do, start 10 minutes, then it goes to 15, 20, sometimes longer. Sometimes I do it twice a day because I really just like it, Exercise, we need to get in 30 minutes 5 times a week, says the American College of Sports Medicine, at least. Right. People say, oh, there's no time. But then you watch them like fiddling around with their devices and, doing all the crazy stuff they do in the morning when they can simply be out walking. Anyway, who knows what people do in their privacy of their homes. But I do know that people always complain that they don't have enough time. And the reality is they don't make enough time. So we can control that. Wellness is about body, mind, and spirit, and it's broken down into 6 other components as well that kind of break it down more, like emotional, environmental, social, physical, mental, and what's the 6th one? Intellectual. So there's all those things we can do to work on ourselves and make ourselves better. And it's my belief that if we make ourselves better, then the world starts looking a little bit better. In 12-step programs, there's a famous saying that they say, when you wash your windows, your neighbor's house looks a hell of a lot better. And, think about that. I mean, that's just an awesome quote, right? And it's absolutely so true. I mean, when we're really, really pissed off at the world, at ourselves, then all of a sudden, the world looks like a really shitty place, right? It doesn't have to be, right? I mean, there's all these instances of great things going on, but, it all begins with us, and we have to be willing to take care of ourselves. And final note on that is that, I exercise pretty strenuously, but I also like to walk my dog every morning for about a little bit over a mile. And it always amazes me, like, how people put so much time and effort into their front yards, but hardly any effort into their physical fitness. Like, they will be up in arms if your dog poops on their yard. Mine doesn't, by the way. I pick it up with a bag, but, they will be up in arms. Where, quite frankly, at my house, no pun intended, I don't give a shit. Dog poops on my yard, I don't care. It's not like I live in some, shithole. I mean, I don't. Nice house, nice neighborhood, whatever. I mean, just trying to make a point that I really don't care. Like, I can remember as a kid playing football in people's yards and going out for a pass, and next thing you know, you're slipped and you're on your face because you slipped in some neighbor's dog's poop. It's like, come on, man. It's like, I don't care. I respect other people on that, so I pick it up, but it just blows me away. The sprinklers are set. The hedges are perfect. Everything just looks great about this person's front yard. and then they walk out and you're like, whoa, hello. It's like, maybe there just needs to be a little more attention put on the person's individual health and fitness. Maybe. I mean, that's just my opinion. I know that's a judgment call, thinking that they don't, but a lot of times you can kind of tell if somebody's working on it or not. And I just see the instances of our priorities kind of like really being a little bit nutso right now. Nutso in the politics, nutso on our front yards, and not enough nutso on improving ourselves, right? Because if we improve ourselves, we become obviously better human beings, and better human beings create more good. And that's my opinion. I think when people have kind of lost faith in themselves, they lose faith in the world, and they start making bad choices. That's just my opinion. So I would love for you to put more of your attention into the things you can control and the positive things you can control. All right. And another person who I know absolutely does that, because I know her professionally and I know her on social media, is chiropractic physician Doris Antos, who always puts everything out there positive and improvement of your health, your well-being, your fitness. She's awesome. She's up in Ormond Beach, and she's been doing this for 18 years. All right. She graduated from Palmer Chiropractic College, which is one of the best in the country, located right here in Port Orange. And like I said, she's absolutely the best. She doesn't just like do what, some physicians of any kind do, which is just kind of go through the motions. She figures you out as a patient, and she does for you exactly what you need done for you. She's got a ton of different services, but she makes sure that she utilizes the one that's best for you. And I really respect that. I believe in chiropractors, and I think they have to be good ones. I believe that's true in my industry. I mean, my goodness, I believe in personal trainers, and I also believe that there's probably only 10% good personal trainers out there. Luckily, I think there's more better chiropractors out there than personal trainers, but she happens to be one of the best. So just like the Gildon Group, I will put her information in the show notes. And until next time, be Max Fit and be Max Well.